In 2014, a team of scientists and filmmakers built a robot gorilla, not a toy, a full animatronic, hyper-realistic spy gorilla made to sneak into one of the smartest and most dangerous animal groups on Earth, the wild mountain gorillas. And what they discovered inside that troop shocked everyone. For years, scientists have tried to study wild gorillas, but there's always one big problem. The moment a human shows up, everything changes. Gorillas can smell us from far away, hear our footsteps, even notice the tiny sounds from our cameras. And as soon as they know we're there, they stop acting normal. Some gorillas quietly move back into the trees, others get nervous, and the big silverback, the boss of the whole troop, steps in front of his family and just stares at the humans, ready to charge if he thinks they're in danger. And trust me, when a 400-pound silverback even thinks about charging, you don't try to be brave. You get out of there. And because of how easily gorillas notice humans, almost everything we know about them comes from watching them far away, through binoculars, long camera lenses, or hiding behind trees. So we only see how they act when they know someone is watching, but we don't see what they do when they feel completely alone. And that's a big problem. When animals know they're being watched, they act differently. It's called the observer effect. Just watching something can change what it does. So scientists were stuck. They needed to get closer and see the real gorilla behavior. Natural, relaxed, the way they act when they're not trying to protect or hide anything. But the question was, how do you watch an animal without letting it notice you? Surprisingly, the solution didn't come from science. It came from wildlife filmmaking. In the early 2000s, a British production company called John Downer Productions started experimenting with animatronic spy cameras. They made robot penguins, robot crocodiles, even robot monkeys, and they looked so real that actual animals treated them like part of the group. These weren't simple toys. They moved and looked almost alive. Then, in 2014, they decided to push it to the next level. They wanted to build a robot baby gorilla. The plan was simple. Place the robot inside a wild mountain gorilla family, let them accept it as one of their own, and finally record the kind of natural behavior scientists had never been able to see up close. But there was one huge problem. Gorillas are smart. If the robot looked even a little fake, they'd spot it instantly. And if they knew it wasn't a real baby, the whole experiment would fail. Or worse, the gorillas might attack it. So the robot had to be perfect. Absolutely perfect. Building a robot gorilla isn't like making a toy or a movie prop. The problem is that the audience isn't people. It's real gorillas. And as you already know, gorillas are really smart. They recognize faces, read body language, notice tiny movements or strange sounds, and they can even sense when a smell doesn't match a real baby gorilla. So if anything about the robot felt even slightly off, the gorillas would figure it out instantly. That's why the team at John Downer Productions brought in engineers, animatronic experts, and primate specialists. They had to build a robot so realistic that even a wild gorilla couldn't tell the difference. First, the appearance. The robot was modeled after a juvenile gorilla, about 2 years old. This was intentional. Adult gorillas are territorial and aggressive. But baby gorillas? They're curious, playful, non-threatening. So the troop would be more likely to accept a baby than an adult. They covered the robot in real gorilla fur, the same dark, rough type that mountain gorillas have in Uganda. Its face was made from soft silicone, so it looked like a real young gorilla, and the eyes were glass but could actually blink. The mouth opened and closed, and even the nostrils were made to look shiny and wet, just like a real baby gorilla's nose. Then they worked on the movement. Gorillas don't move like humans at all. They walk on their knuckles, shifting their weight in a slow, steady rhythm. When they're curious, they tilt their heads. When they're unsure, they hunch their shoulders. Every tiny move means something, so the robot had to copy all of it perfectly. So the team programmed the robot with dozens of micro movements, head tilts, eye blinks, subtle shifts in posture. It could even beat its chest, a behavior baby gorillas use during play. But the most important feature was the eyes. In gorilla society, eye contact is everything. Staring directly at a silverback is a challenge. Looking away is submission. The robot's eyes had to move naturally, avoiding prolonged stares while still appearing engaged. And then there was the sound. Gorillas vocalize constantly. Grunts, hoots, soft rumbles. The robot was equipped with speakers that could play pre-recorded gorilla sounds, timed to match its movements. Finally, the team added one last detail: a heartbeat. A small motor inside the robot's chest created a rhythmic pulse, just in case a curious gorilla pressed its ear against the robot's body. The entire project took months, and when it was finished, the robot looked, moved, and sounded like a real gorilla. At least they hoped it did, because the only way to know for sure was to put it in front of the real thing. The experiment took place in Bwindi Impenetrable National Park in Uganda, a forest that's home to about half of all the mountain gorillas left in the world. The team chose a specific gorilla family that had gotten used to seeing humans over many years of careful work by park rangers. But used to humans doesn't mean friendly. It just means they won't attack right away if they see someone far away. They're still wild animals, strong, unpredictable, and dangerous if they feel threatened. The plan was pretty simple. The team would hike into the jungle, set the robot gorilla down in a clearing close to the troop, and then move back to watch from a distance. That's it. Just place it and wait to see what happens. But it was also risky. Like we mentioned earlier, if the silverback saw the robot as a threat, he could attack, and a single blow from a silverback can shatter bones. If he destroyed the robot, the experiment would be over, and if he realized it was fake, the troop might become wary of all unfamiliar objects in the future, making future research harder. So the team moved very carefully. They waited until the gorilla family was relaxed, eating plants in an open area. Then they quietly placed the robot about 20 meters away, hiding it a little behind some ferns. They switched it on. Its eyes blinked, and its chest moved like it was breathing. After that, the team slowly backed away and left the robot by itself. For a few minutes, nothing happened. The gorillas just kept eating, not noticing anything new. But then one of the young gorillas looked up. He stopped chewing, tilted his head, and stared straight at the robot. The first gorilla to approach was a young male, probably 3 years old. He moved slowly and carefully, circling around the robot to get a better look. The robot didn't move. It just sat there, blinking occasionally and showing its fake breathing. The young gorilla got braver and reached out with one hand to touch the robot's arm. The fur felt real, so he pulled his hand back, sniffed it, and then touched the robot again. And then he did something no one expected. He just sat down beside the robot, completely calm, like the robot was another member of the troop. A few minutes later, more young gorillas came closer. They poked the robot, tugged on its fur, and one even tried to play, gently tapping its shoulder like they do when they want to wrestle. The robot didn't respond. It couldn't. But the gorillas didn't seem to mind. They treated it like a shy, quiet member of the group who was too nervous to play. But the real test came when the silverback noticed. He was huge, over 400 pounds, with a long strip of silver fur down his back like a cape. He had been eating on the other side of the clearing, but now he stood up and stared straight at the robot. The team held their breath. If he decided to charge, everything would end right there. He walked slowly toward it, each step heavy and serious. The younger gorillas quickly moved out of his way. He stopped just a few feet from the robot and stared at it in complete silence. For a moment, nothing happened. He just studied it, its face, the way it sat, how still it was. He reached out and gently touched the robot's head, not hitting it, not pushing it, just a soft, careful touch. He sniffed it, leaned in close, and then calmly turned around and walked away. The robot had passed. The silverback accepted it as one of his own. Over the next few hours, the gorillas treated the robot like part of the troop. They sat near it. They groomed around it. One of the mothers even allowed her infant to crawl over the robot's lap. And the entire time, the hidden cameras inside the robot were recording everything. What the robot recorded completely changed how scientists understand gorillas. The first big discovery was the sounds. Scientists already knew gorillas made noises, but as you guys already know, almost every recording before this experiment came from far away. The robot, sitting right in the middle of the troop, picked up sounds no one had ever clearly recorded before. Soft hums, deep rumbles, and gentle grunts that seemed to mean they were relaxed and happy. That's when scientists realized something surprising. Gorillas sing while they eat. It's not singing like humans do. It's more like a slow, calm humming that tells the group the food is good, everything is safe, and they're together. And it wasn't just the adults. Even the babies hummed. The silverback hummed too, his deep voice mixing with the higher sounds from the young gorillas. This was a huge discovery because it showed their communication was way more complex than people thought. These sounds weren't random. They were social, coordinated, and almost musical. Then there was the behavior. The robot filmed the gorillas playing in ways that had never been documented. Juveniles wrestling, tumbling, chasing each other through the bushes. But the part that really stood out was how gentle they were. Even when they played rough, they were careful. They didn't hit too hard. They checked on each other, and if one gorilla got hurt, the others immediately stopped. This went against the old idea that gorillas are always violent or aggressive. Yes, they're strong and can be dangerous when they need to be. But inside their own family, they're incredibly gentle, protective, and even caring. The robot also captured moments of grief. At one point, a mother gorilla sat holding her infant who had died days earlier. She wouldn't let go. The other gorillas approached her, touched her gently, and sat with her in silence. This wasn't instinct. This was mourning, and it was heartbreaking. But perhaps the most important discovery was this. Gorillas are far more emotionally complex than we ever gave them credit for. They comfort each other, they play, they grieve, they sing, and they do all of this when they think no one is watching. The footage from the robot gorilla was used in the BBC documentary series Spy in the Wild. It aired in 2017 and was watched by millions of people around the world. But the impact went beyond entertainment. The experiment proved that animatronic spy cameras could be used as a legitimate research tool. Since then, similar robots have been deployed to study other species: elephants, dolphins, even crocodiles. The footage the robot recorded became extremely important for saving gorillas. It showed the world that gorillas aren't the aggressive monsters they were once portrayed as. They're smart, emotional, and very social, and they deserve protection. Mountain gorillas are still in big trouble. There are less than 1,100 left in the entire world. They're disappearing because of habitat loss, poaching, and diseases that spread easily in their small populations. But thanks to videos like this, more people started to care, more money went into conservation, and more organizations stepped in to help protect them. Today, mountain gorilla populations are slowly recovering. It's one of the few conservation success stories in recent history. But here's the part that really sticks with me. We had to build a fake gorilla just to see real gorillas acting like themselves. We had to hide, we had to trick them. Because the moment a human shows up, even if we don't mean harm, everything about their behavior changes. And that says something about us. It shows how far we've drifted away from the natural world and how much of it we've already lost without even noticing. There was a time when humans and animals coexisted, when we understood their rhythms, their behaviors, their lives. But we've built cities, cleared forests, and drawn lines between us and them. And now, when we want to reconnect, we have to do it through machines. The robot gorilla wasn't just a tool, it was a mirror. It showed us what we have become: observers, outsiders, strangers in a world we once belonged to. But it also showed us something else. That curiosity still matters, that empathy still exists, that we're still capable of caring about creatures who aren't us. And maybe that's where the hope is, not in the robot or the technology, but in the fact that we still want to understand these animals, we still want to learn, to watch, to feel connected to them. Because the gorillas didn't care that the robot was fake. They treated it gently anyway. They sat with it, touched it, and accepted it like it was one of their own. And maybe that's the real lesson. You don't have to be perfect to connect with someone. It just requires presence and the willingness to see the world through someone else's eyes, even if those eyes are made of glass. If this story made you think, good, that's the point. The world is full of stories like this, stories about the distance between us and nature and the strange, beautiful ways we try to close that gap. If you want more, hit subscribe, and thank you for watching till the end.